finding a game world that actually pulls you in is hard to beat. The best ones make every detour feel worth it, whether you are chasing secrets, clearing enemy camps, or just getting lost for hours. So today, we are talking about 12 of the best open-world games you can play on PS5. These are the ones that make the console shine. Let's get into it. Let's start things off with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Honestly, when Square Enix said they were breaking the classic game out into a massive multi-region world, I was a little skeptical about how they would pull off the pacing. But the second you step out of the linear opening hours and into the massive rolling hills of the grasslands, all those doubts just completely evaporate. The scale of this planet is staggering, stretching across massive continents from the sunny coasts of Costa del Sol to the rugged canyons of Cosmo Canyon. What makes this world so special is how it balances that grand, old-school adventure feeling with modern performance. You are exploring this gorgeous world as Cloud, alongside your childhood friend Tifa and the rest of the crew, tracking down Sephiroth across a landscape that feels incredibly rewarding to travel through. They managed to make traversal feel like a joy rather than a chore, especially when you customize your chocobos to glide off cliffs or scale vertical walls. The game is packed with mini-games, deep side stories that actually build up your party bonds, and an incredible combat system that blends real-time action with tactical menu commands. It is a massive love letter to the original game that completely justifies its huge runtime, and it sets a ridiculously high standard for what a modern RPG world should look like on current-gen hardware. Next up is Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Insomniac already mastered the art of making you feel like a superhero, but expanding their digital New York to include Brooklyn and Queens completely redefines how you move through a city. Playing as both Peter Parker and Miles Morales, you can instantly swap between them while exploring, which still feels like absolute magic thanks to the speed of the console. The addition of the web wings completely transforms traversal, allowing you to catch wind tunnels between skyscrapers and rocket across the East River at absurd speeds without ever losing your momentum. The plot takes a dark, personal turn as Peter bonds with the alien symbiote suit, giving you access to brutal, tendril-based combat abilities that feel wildly different from Miles' bioelectric venom powers. The open world feels tightly wound and incredibly responsive, throwing random crime encounters, hidden Sandman memory crystals, and hunter blinds at you naturally as you swing by. It doesn't overwhelm you with artificial length, opting instead for a beautifully paced, highly cinematic superhero ride where the city itself feels like a living character. If you want a masterclass in pure, unadulterated fun, where just moving from point A to point B is a highlight of the game, this is an absolute essential for your library. So next up, if you have ever wanted to live out the ultimate scoundrel fantasy in a galaxy far, far away, Star Wars Outlaws is exactly what you need. Developed by Massive Entertainment, it gives you the keys to the first ever truly open-world Star Wars adventure, taking place right between the events of The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. You play as Kay Vess, a clever thief trying to pull off one of the biggest heists the Outer Rim has ever seen, accompanied by your adorable alien partner Nyx. The developers rolled out some massive updates post-launch, specifically Title Update 1.3, which completely overhauled the game's stealth mechanics. They removed those frustrating instant fail states on critical stealth missions like False Flag, giving you way more tactical flexibility to go loud, use your blaster, or let Nyx manipulate the environment to get you out of a tight spot. You can hop on your customizable speeder bike to race across the windy savannas of Tashara, look for a high-stakes game of Sabacc in a crowded cantina, or hop into the Trailblazer starship to seamlessly fly from the surface straight into intense space combat. It handles the criminal underworld of the Star Wars universe beautifully, making your relationship with different crime syndicates a core part of how you navigate the galaxy. Then there is Assassin's Creed Shadows. Ubisoft completely dropped previous generation hardware to build this epic specifically for the current era, and that extra power is visible in every single corner of feudal Japan. The absolute biggest innovation here is the dynamic season system. As you play through the game, the entire world transitions between spring, summer, autumn, and winter, which directly changes how you interact with the environment. In the summer, you can hide in tall grass or swim through deep ponds to infiltrate a fortress, but when winter rolls around, those ponds freeze over, the leaves fall off the trees, and icicles forming on the roof can snap and give away your position to guards. The game features two completely different playable protagonists with contrasting playstyles. You have Naoe, a deadly shinobi who utilizes a grapple hook, hidden blades, and shadows to execute silent assassinations, and Yasuke, the powerful, historical African samurai who specializes in heavy, armor-crushing direct combat. It is a massive, beautifully detailed historical playground that uses the full power of the console to make its world feel unpredictable, deeply atmospheric, and incredibly rewarding to explore. Another one we have here is Horizon Forbidden West. I mean, if you played Zero Dawn, you know what you're getting here. More robot dinosaurs, more beautiful open world, more Aloy being the most competent person in any room. The sequel expands everything. Bigger map, more machines, more weapons, more tribes. The grappling hook and the shield wing glider make traversal genuinely fun in a way the first game's climbing never quite nailed. You're zipping around canyons and flying off cliffs and feeling like a complete badass. The combat has more depth too, with new elemental weaknesses and the ability to pull parts off machines mid-fight. And the machines themselves are just incredible designs. The Tide Ripper is this giant crocodile thing that shoots water jets. The Slitherfang is a cobra that burrows underground. The Tremor Tusk is basically a mammoth with cannons on its back. Every fight feels like a puzzle. You're scanning weaknesses, shooting off components, laying traps, using the environment. The story picks up 6 months after the first game, and our main protagonist is dealing with the fallout of saving the world, which apparently means the world needs saving again. It's a little derivative of the first game's plot structure, but the character work is stronger, and the world building is as good as ever. It's a big game, maybe 50 hours for the main story, and it's gorgeous on PS5. The draw distance is insane, the water physics are impressive, the machine animations are some of the best in gaming. If you liked the first one, you'll love this. If you didn't, well, nothing has changed enough to convert you. Coming in next, if you want to see the exact moment a studio took a successful formula and elevated it into a historical masterpiece, look at Ghost of Yōtei. Launching as Sucker Punch's massive standalone follow-up, it moves away from Tsushima and drops you right into the year 1603, tracking a fierce new protagonist named Atsu through the rugged wilderness surrounding Mount Yōtei. The world is breathtaking, trademarking that stunning visual identity with fields of swaying red spider lilies, sweeping snowstorms, and cinematic sunrises that make you want to stop every 5 minutes just to use the photo mode. The game sold over 3 million copies almost immediately for a reason, taking the grounded, deliberate samurai combat of the first game and introducing wild new mechanics like dual-wielding weapons and early firearms. Traversal feels deeply immersive, leaning into the wind and natural cues to guide your exploration rather than heavy user interface clutter. Sucker Punch also dropped a massive free co-op update called Yōtei Legends recently, adding an incredible layer of replayability to an already stellar single-player package. It is a world defined by a powerful story of personal vengeance and honor, built with an atmosphere so thick and beautiful that it easily earns its place among the elite, open-world experiences on the platform. Our next game is Death Stranding 2, On the Beach. Hideo Kojima took the bizarre, isolating concept of the original delivery simulator and turned it into an absolute technical powerhouse on the PS5. You are back in the boots of Sam Porter Bridges, but this time you are exploring completely new frontiers outside the United States, working with a crew on a massive moving ship to connect the network across a beautiful, hostile world. The Decima engine looks utterly ridiculous here, delivering some of the most lifelike character models and terrain physics ever seen in gaming. What blew me away completely was the award-winning audio design, where the crunch of every stone under your boots and the distant roar of a changing landscape build this intense, unsettling atmosphere. The core loop is still about conquering the terrain itself, mapping out routes, managing cargo weight, and using crazy new vehicles to cross raging rivers and massive deserts. But Kojima added way more variety this time around, giving you deeper combat options, strange new companions like Rainy, and massive cinematic set pieces that will leave your jaw on the floor. It is weird, bold, unapologetically unique, and easily one of the most memorable journeys you can take. And next up, we have Dragon's Dogma 2. Capcom created an absolute paradise for emergent gameplay here. A world where the developer completely refuses to hold your hand and instead lets the systems collide in spectacular chaos. You play as the Arisen, a hero whose heart was stolen by a massive dragon, and you travel the world alongside your AI companions known as pawns. The game received some massive updates recently that completely fixed the launch performance in dense city centers, while also adding awesome quality of life changes like multiple save slots and the highly requested Eternal Fairy Stone for more flexible fast travel. But the real magic of this world is still the pure adventure. You will be walking down a dirt path at dusk, minding your own business when a massive griffin suddenly crashes out of the sky, smashes the ox cart you were guarding, and forces you into a 20-minute boss battle where you are literally climbing up its feathers to stab it in the eye. It is an open world that values danger and discovery above everything else, making every single journey outside the safety of a town feel like a genuine, unpredictable expedition. So next up, it's V Rising. Alright, I have put embarrassing hours into this one. You are a vampire, you wake up in a crumbling world, and you have to build a castle, hunt for blood, and survive the daylight. The isometric viewpoint is crucial here because the combat is real-time and action-focused, almost like a top-down Diablo, but with way more weight. Every weapon has a different moveset, and you have to aim your spells and dashes manually. It is so satisfying to land a perfect spear throw or turn into a wolf to escape a losing fight. And the castle building is legitimately great. You can design a whole gothic fortress with coffins, gardens for blood and servant coffins to raise undead minions. The game launched out of early access in 2024, and it is fully cooked now with a complete campaign, a bunch of endgame bosses, and full PvP servers if you want to raid other people's castles. I mostly played solo, and it still felt huge. The progression from a weak little bat that hides from the sun to a walking death machine with a full castle and an army is one of the best power curves I have seen in years. Even the soundtrack slaps. If you ever wanted a proper vampire simulator that actually lets you feel like Dracula, this is it. Just make sure you have friends, because the boss fights get brutal alone. Our next game is Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. Massive Entertainment built what is arguably one of the most visually stunning alien ecosystems ever put into a video game, capturing the absolute wonder and danger of James Cameron's universe. You are playing as a Na'vi who was raised by the human militaristic RDA Corporation, waking up years later to reclaim your heritage and rally the clans to protect the western frontier. Walking through this world feels like stepping straight into a film, with massive, glowing, bioluminescent rainforests, towering floating mountains, and weather systems that actively change how the local flora and fauna react. The game received a massive title update recently that introduced a highly requested, game-changing third-person mode, completely transforming how it feels to parkour through the dense jungle canopies and ride your custom Ikran companion through the skies. Alongside New Game Plus and the excellent From the Ashes story expansion, it provides an incredible amount of high-quality content. Hunting down RDA polling stations using stealthy Na'vi longbows or heavy human firearms feels fantastic, making it a perfect playground for anyone who wants to lose themselves in a truly gorgeous, breathing sci-fi world. Up next, we have to talk about Cyberpunk 2077, specifically the current-gen exclusive experience powered by the massive 2.0 overhaul and the Phantom Liberty expansion. If you haven't played this game since its original launch, you are looking at a completely different beast right now. Night City is easily one of the most jaw-dropping urban open worlds ever constructed, a towering, neon-soaked dystopian metropolis that feels incredibly dense and dangerous. The 2.0 update completely dismantled the old game, replacing it with fully redone skill trees, a functional police system, and high-octane vehicular combat that lets you shoot submachine guns right from the driver's seat of your futuristic sports car. Then you add the Phantom Liberty expansion, which opens up the walled-off combat zone of Dogtown and drops you into a gripping spy thriller storyline starring Idris Elba as the grizzled secret agent Solomon Reed. The game puts you in the shoes of V, a mercenary fighting against a ticking clock inside their own head, accompanied by the digital ghost of rockstar anarchist Johnny Silverhand. The combination of intense first-person combat, deep cyberware customization, and a story that hits like a freight train makes this an absolute triumph of an open world that you need to experience on modern hardware. We are closing things out with Kingdom Come: Deliverance 2. Warhorse Studios returned to deliver another masterclass in uncompromising historical realism, dropping you right back into the mud, blood, and political intrigue of 15th century Bohemia. You are continuing the gritty, deeply personal story of Henry of Skalitz, a blacksmith's son who found himself swept up in a brutal war for the crown. The game became an absolute juggernaut, selling over 6 million copies for its brilliant narrative and dedication to historical accuracy. This is an open world where your actions have real, tangible consequences. If you walk into a wealthy town covered in mud and blood from a recent forest ambush, the merchants will refuse to speak with you and the guards will look at you with deep suspicion. The combat is heavily tactical and realistic, requiring you to carefully manage your stamina, read your opponent's guard directions, and master authentic medieval weaponry like swords, maces, and early crossbows. The world itself is stunningly beautiful, featuring massive, dense European forests, bustling medieval cities, and authentic castles that feel alive with NPCs who follow actual daily schedules. It is a hardcore, deeply immersive role-playing experience that completely avoids generic modern gaming tropes to deliver an adventure that feels genuinely unforgettable. Alright, that's the list. Drop a comment and let us know what you think. If you enjoyed this, hit like and subscribe if you're new. We upload new videos regularly, so subscribing is the best way to catch them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.